Hello and welcome to Living the Tao.
Hi, I'm Taoist Master Mikel Steenrod.
And I'm Morgan. Thank you for joining us on this walk today. We've talked about other creatures. We did an episode about demons, and we've mentioned dragons and the demigods and the regional gods. What are all these other creatures, and where are they? And what are we talking about? Are these like in a parallel universe or in another reality, or what are those Taoists, what are they seeing that we're not seeing?
Let me reframe your question.
Please.
I believe your question deals with the fact that why aren't you perceiving them?
Yes.
So that's it in a nutshell, right?
I mean, assuming that they're not just hallucinating, I guess, yeah.
Well, what would you consider to be not a hallucination? How do you know that I am not created by AI right now, walking along with you?
Well, I have certain assumptions when I wake up that things are going to be recognizable, and that I don't know. I'm supposed to be asking the questions.
Well,
I don't know the answers.
Part of the answer is in what you're saying right
Okay.
there. But let me answer that in part. You assume a thing is real.
Yes.
When I can affect the same reality that you are perceiving as we're moving along, correct?
You can affect it? You mean that we recognize it together?
If I'm here and I kick the dirt and you see the dirt being kicked, you assume that I'm real enough to kick dirt.
Right.
Because it's right next to you, you perceive it with your senses.
Yeah.
And it registers as this individual is doing the same thing as I am doing. My
expectations are met.
Right.
Okay.
And so, because you can also affect reality in the same way,
right?
You are assuming it's a real thing because we're both doing the same thing, and you can do it. Because you can do it, you assume that I'm real. But let's say I suddenly start floating along next to you.
Right.
You can't do that.
Right.
Do you now assume I am not floating next to you? Or do you assume that perhaps I'm not there at all? Or, down through the list.
Yeah.
Because it's something that you can't do.
You have superpowers. Right. Or that you're a magical creature.
Because it opens a doorway to stuff that is not Morgan, right? Right.
Yeah, it breaks my expectation.
Right.
Of myself. I see where you're going. Well, I see what you're, so far, I see what you're setting up.
So, the whole thing about this is, what if you have none of those expectations all of a sudden?
That anything can happen.
That anything can happen.
That I could fly.
That you could fly.
That you could fly, that anything could happen.
That anything that could happen, we could be walking along and a giant dragon could just pop up and walk alongside of us because it felt, oh, here are these two little humans, maybe they want a snack or something along those lines.
Okay.
However, when you wake up in the morning, you have certain assumptions about what the world is.
That's not part of what I expect to happen today.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And those assumptions all represent choices on your part, which filter and control the social mind.
So what's in here, or here, collapses the possibilities out there, or it's just my perception of what I see.
Yes, it is one of those things.
We're not sure.
So, as we said, or we're talking about in our prior talk, what did I say? I said choice was energy.
Yes.
And it does not occur in what? The intellect. So, When you are making assumptions, you're also making choices. As soon as you make those choices, you choose how you're going to engage the world. And the average person thinks, well, does it matter if I choose not tree or not dirt or not any one of these other particular things? Why is that reality not affected in the same way?
You mean like I don't want to see any trees?
Right.
Why don't they disappear?
That is correct. So, well, that's the standard counter position, let's say, to
I bet you could hypnotize somebody to not see trees.
Yes, you certainly could.
Woo! We'll be right back.
I'm gonna wait until the grass catches it. There we go. We'll catch up to it.
Yeah, we don't have to run. All right. So the wind is very playful today. It stole Master Steenrod's hat. Temporarily. Hypnosis. So there's, is it Oliver Sacks who recounted the man who mistook his wife for a hat? So the mind is capable of all kinds of falsehoods.
Yes, it is, and we can journey down that pathway, but I don't think it'll actually answer the question that you want to answer. The ultimate problem with that is that, one, you're talking about things that have more energy than you do. And anything that has more energy than you do, if you are not in a highly favorable position for perception, you're not going to perceive them. They don't have to be perceived. And that creates like a fundamental difference.
They don't have to be perceived. It's their choice. Are they choosing when to be perceived by us? They don't care about us.
Well, if you make the energetic decisions that limit your perception,
it's our choice.
It is both your choice and their choice. They could go through an extraordinary effort to be perceived, but there's no real reason to.
And it would cost them energy.
Right. So imagine that you had two fish hanging out in a fishbowl, and one fish claims that a mighty giant comes by and drops food from the sky onto the surface. And at a certain point, and the other fish goes, well, no, I think it's just falling off of whatever happens to be out there.
Right.
Are you really going to spend a large amount of time as the mighty giant trying to prove yourself to a fish? And the answer is probably not.
Probably not.
And not unless you really, like, you needed to blow the mind of a fish or something like that.
That's pretty brutal.
And, or, you know, you wanted to scoop them up in a net, or...
You're risking the fish's reality, right? That's not your place to blow their mind.
Well, you know, as far as we know, the motivations for something from a different Qing layer are little related to the motivations for something from the human layer too. And
so we don't even know.
Well, I mean, they don't follow or behave in the same fashion that we do. They don't have the same valuations that we do. They have vastly more energy than we do. The difference is that as a human accumulates energy, they can actually shift up the layers. And so suddenly, you know, you can be perceived, if you acquire sufficient energy, as being unusual. So if we were to look in the fishbowl and suddenly one of the fish is wearing a hat and smoking a pipe, then we might go,
yeah,
that's an extraordinary fish.
I might want to talk to that fish.
I'm going to spend a little bit of time looking at it.
That's the best.
And then you call over some of your friends and go, hey, I've got this fish here wearing a hat and smoking a pipe. And they're like, no, you don't have a fish that's doing that. And they come over and go, well, I guess can it see you? And, you know.
Yeah, and then it becomes a point of curiosity and energy, but it's up to the fish to make itself exceptional. So bringing it back to us to see if this is true, that we are hiding the exceptional beings from ourselves.
Well, there's it's essentially a multi-part response. So there are several things that inhibit that type of action. One, it's what you wake up with when you have those habits. And that controls the relationship of perception, awareness, and choice. And so even if you are capable of perceiving it, if you restrict awareness, so perception refers to your physical capability to gain sense data from the environment.
The wavelength of light and the frequency of sound.
And awareness is what you pay attention to within that range of perception.
Yeah.
And so our range of perception is limited, but we dramatically limit it with our range of awareness. And then the awareness that you have, so the things that you're actually aware of, govern your choices. However, it's also reflexive because your choices further limit your awareness and in some ways your perception. So if you persistently limit your perception over time, it just habituates to whatever position you are limiting it to.
That makes sense, because that's back to normalization. We just figure this is reality, so why do we need to use, I don't know, there used to be, I don't know if they use this phrase anymore, ESP, extrasensory perception. Why do we need psychic powers? Because I get all the information I need and want from reality using mundane means.
Yeah, you know, the internet is a wonderful replacement. Well, so that I would say is your first limitation.
Yes.
Your next limitation is that that whole pack, so perception, awareness, and choice, is strongly constrained by the amount of energy that you have. And that refers both to chi and to karma. So if you don't possess the chi or the karma to activate that type of perception, you're simply not going to have it. And you add on to that hostility towards the perception, then you're not going to have it either.
Whether that's like taught or, you know, cultural hostility, or it could just be fear of it, right?
Yeah. I mean, how many people, like at a fundamental level, really want to do any of that?
Yeah.
And there are certainly people that do, but it's a very small portion of the population. And so that's a lot of barriers to be in front of something.
That makes sense.
And to keep a person from doing something, usually you only need one minor barrier. You don't need all these major interruptions to doing a thing.
Yeah.
And so that's a big barrier stack right there.
That is a tall, that's a high, slick wall.
And if you look at the Taoist methodology, what eventually happens is that the things that you wake up with in the morning are different than the things that you woke up with to start with. So the assessments you have for the day are different. And that gradually opens your perception, or I shouldn't say perception, let's say it gradually opens your awareness, so you become more and more aware of the things that are already there.
Because your choices are different. You say, okay, well, maybe I want to see these connections now instead.
And so that opens up. But if you're looking at extraordinary interaction, it's an energetic universe. If you don't have the energy for it, you're not going to get it.
Got it.
And it's because energy is not a favor extended to you. It is something that you can pick up just by action on your own. So the fact that a person doesn't have energy is a outgrowth of their choices and actions.
That's a choice too.
So the you know, people oftentimes think of themselves as being victimized, where it's I had this taken from me, and there can be truth to that. You can have some of that taken from you, in particular if your waking perceptions have been controlled. But energy, that wasn't taken from you.
No.
So that was chosen.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
It is a tough pill to swallow, and it can also be debated. And at the end of the day, you end up exactly with what I said. So it's a matter of like, oh shit, it's
whether it's this way or that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
The fact remains. Okay. Okay.